How's it going, everybody? Welcome to the Purple People Podcast. My name is Kyle Smith. I am joined today by Kyle West for episode 567, the off-season drama that we must discuss today. I'm not happy about today's episode, but I'm going to try to keep a level head. But first things first, how are you, man? How's everything going today?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good. Day off work. Big old heat wave coming in, or it's been in for a couple days now here in the Midwest. So I'm glad that I'm inside and in the air conditioning and just ready to talk some Minnesota Vikings football.
Yeah, me too, man. I was out after work today. I took my working dog to get a bath, and easiest way to dry your dog off, spoiler alert, take him out in the sun and throw the ball a little bit. But that was limited to about 6 minutes. And I know
Yeah.
this because I didn't make it through two popular radio station songs before I was like, not going to cause you to have a heat stroke, my guy. We're just going to get out, let you run, get the spare hairs out of the way. And yeah, it's hot, man. It's like 104 my truck said today here in Virginia. So not excited about that. I'm glad to be back inside.
Oh yeah, we are feeling it today for sure.
Um, we're going to jump right into it. There's not a lot of football news. So before we get to the main topic, I will tell you I am like 6 episodes into Netflix's Receiver. Initially, when I started it, I didn't like it because I had so much love for quarterback. But then I quickly realized I'm angry because the Viking season was dog shit last year, and our favorite player on the team got hurt the one time the cameras have been around him in his career. So um, seeing how tough these guys are and seeing the hits they have to take. Amon-Ra St. Brown has gained such a fan in me because
Oh,
he,
a
he
hundred
played
percent.
he played through the season like just banged up to shit, and he had like a no, like I'm not. There's no way I'm not going out there unless I have to be out of the game. Devontae Adams basically had a grade 3 shoulder sprain. The bone was coming up, and he's like, put some light or whatever it's called, a cortisol shot in there. He's like, let's get me on the field again. These guys are warriors, and anyone that talks shit about them leaving the game with an injury, bro, when you're 30 years old, like mine and Kyle's age, your back hurts from sleeping the wrong way. I could not take full grown men sprinting at me trying to take my head off. None of us could do that. And it's a reality check when you can be humble and have integrity about yourself. You can't do what these guys do. They take a freaking beating. So I have much respect to all the receivers. And George Kittle, he's just a big dumb animal playing football out there, and he's so much fun to watch. Oh my god, he's so much fun.
Yeah, you're a little farther than I am in that receiver show. I think I'm 4 episodes into it. Uh, mostly, I would have watched it anyway, but I'm really enjoying the inside look at Justin Jefferson, a little bit of a behind the scenes look at the Minnesota Vikings. I've wanted to see Minnesota on Hard Knocks for a while now. I know some fans think that, oh, it's a curse, it's a distraction, whatever, but I love these little inside looks at the team because it's a more honest approach to it than you get a very sterile, sanitized look from the Vikings PR. And hey, that stuff is good. It's good, easy to digest. Hey, we win a game. Here's a little bit in the locker room from Kevin O'Connell, and we're going to give out some game balls, and everything's great. And I like to really get into the weeds and see really what's going on with the team. And on Hard Knocks or on a program like Receivers, it gives you an opportunity to really kind of see what's going on with the team and with players. And I enjoyed seeing Kevin O'Connell. We got to hear some audio of him in the second episode chewing the team's ass out after that loss to, was it the Philadelphia Eagles, I believe.
Yeah, and to your point, I'll let you finish. It's cool because we see such a soft spoken, player friendly coach there, but to hear him hold the team accountable and say he said one of the harshest nice things I've ever said, where he's like, "You have the franchise in your hand and you still fumble it. That means you don't care enough." And I'm like, "Good God, man, that'll make you want to hold on to the ball and run through a wall for him because he's such a
Yeah,
soft spoken, friendly guy." But please go on, man. That was such a good episode.
yeah, I love it. I love seeing Justin Jefferson. He doesn't appear to be a drama. He's very drama free, very down to earth player. I know that this was filmed prior to him getting the big contract extension, and you get to see his house, and his house is very clearly a nice property, but it's not like a giant sprawling mansion. He doesn't have a lot of sports cars. He's just kind of hanging out at home with his personal chef watching TV. And I think that's really cool. It makes him somehow kind of more relatable in a way that I didn't think I would ever be able to relate with Justin Jefferson because if I had that much money, you know what I'd be doing? Probably hanging out at home with a big ass TV set and a personal chef. Like that's what I would be doing. That's really cool. I like that. I
Charlotte
like how
said it
down to earth he is.
same time you
Yeah.
did. Yeah, I liked it, like, because of his culture and his upbringing, and it's the receiver position is gonna be flashy in general. I love that he has a personality he's unapologetic about, but he also toes the line of, um, everything that a franchise, player is. He has no drama, which will tie into our main topic today. He loves
Yeah.
his
Plus,
family.
plus he loves candy. Right on.
He loves Skittles and all that
I fucking
silly
love
stuff,
that.
which I love. Um, but I just love the fact that he's unapologetically himself. Like, hey, this is my hometown. I love Louisiana. I'm gonna do a dance based off someone here. And then, you got the typical cheesy white crew of Jim Nance and Tony Romo and all these broadcasters, and they're like, "Oh, we thought you pulled your hamstring." He's like, "No, you fucking goofballs. It's from an internet thing from TikTok. There's an age gap here. Let me show you what social media and
Yeah.
trends are," which was hilarious. Um, but I like that he's very humble, he's very nice. It's always cool when you see a guy who's that much of a superstar, but he's actually really cool, because some of these guys can be jerks, and I sometimes, like, knee-jerk reaction, you're like, "Wow, he was a dick," but you don't know how many times these players get pressured into doing shit where it's like, "Make it about me, 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 me," and they have to give, give, give when they just want some peace and quiet. So, um,
And what
just
Jefferson, what he seems to understand and grasp really well is he talks about how he's got his on-field personality, and that's Jets. And
mhm,
Jets comes out, a couple hours before a game, and that's what gives him that extra motivation and energy, and to be able to dominate on the field. But he's able to turn it off, when he's not on the field, and that's important because you look at guys. I look at guys like Antonio Brown. Okay, you got to be a madman on the field, like you said, in order to compete at a high level and do what they have to do. But you got to be able to turn it off. And Antonio Brown was never able to turn it off. He was that big time diva, crazy person, full time, all of the time. And most people cannot live like that. I mean, there's very few players who can pull that off the field stuff, full time. Like T.O. was able to do that. And you look at what Terrell Owens was doing back in the day, we were all up in arms because he was doing sit ups in his driveway shirtless. And like that was like the old whites in the media back then were like, oh my God, look at how disrespectful he is. Like T.O. in today's NFL wouldn't even hardly be an issue.
yeah. Well, it's funny you
Long
mentioned that. We always talk
long
about
story
Michael
short,
Jordan. Go
long
ahead, sorry,
story
first
short,
one.
I love how humble Justin Jefferson is.
I love it too, man. I love his connection with his family. I loved how he didn't make it. I didn't take it as a jab, but he said, my older brothers didn't really succeed, so we're all going to do it together through me. And I thought that was really nice.
It's motivation. I took it for like it's motivation for him. He understands this is not given to you because I've heard him say that he felt that his brother, I believe he was a quarterback, was
Yeah.
more athletically gifted than what Justin Jefferson was.
Hmm.
He feels that he was the better athlete in the family, wasn't able to make a dent, a splash at all in the NFL. So I think he uses that. He was able to use that as motivation to understand, hey, uh, I got to outwork everyone else on the field, and nothing is given to me. And like I was joking before the show, his parents, man, you got to give his parents credit because his mama looks like she would whoop his ass if he gets out of line. Like he has a support structure in place with his family that will keep him, even though he's got more money than you and I could ever fathom. It's not going to be an issue because Mama's going to keep Justin Jefferson in line. I like that. I really like that.
It seems like dad used to, because dad would say, like, I used to kick his ass in sports until he physically could beat me, which I thought was hilarious. because that will drive you insane as a kid to make you want to get better. But I think mom still would, like you said, run after him with a shoe. Shout out to all our Hispanic listeners and all our Hispanic people out there that have the chancla terror from their childhood of your mom throwing a fucking flip flop at you like a ninja star. So
Yeah.
that shit's hilarious.
Grandma chased me legit with a wooden spoon once when I was a kid for
oh yeah, I got
acting like an ass. So yeah.
well, my favorite thing, shout out to my mom, miss you every day. She would do that southern white thing where they'd be like, go outside and pick a hickory switch. So you have to pick the branch that they're going to whip your ass with.
Ooh.
And if you pick a big one, obviously it's going to feel like a baseball bat. So you pick a small one, but those bend. So they wrap around and they like almost lacerate you. And it's terrible. And it's a walk of shame of having to pick one because you always want to pick like some flimsy bullshit. It's like found out real quick on the back of my legs and my hamstrings like shit, that sucks. So yeah, I get the vibes from JJ's mom, but it's fun. I encourage everyone not to just watch it for Justin Jefferson. Is look at the other guys. Deebo Samuel, you see how valuable he is. He was going through it. He was getting a massage through his injury, and he was pissed. He was like, "This fucking hurts." And the lady was like, "Quit being a bitch and take it. Like this is gonna help you."
Yeah.
George Kittle's hilarious. I recorded it and sent it to the guys yesterday. Spiked a football in Philly. Shout out to the Niners for beating the shit out of Philly at home. Fuck Philadelphia. And Debo's like, "What happened to the ball?" He's like, "It's in the stands." He's like, "How you do that?" He's like, "I spiked the shit out of it." It's just he's just so honest. He's so hilarious. And then of course Amon-Ra St. Brown I talked about. Devontae Adams. I feel so bad for that dude. He chased the money, but he also wants to get a ring and was like, "I want to, get paid what I think should get paid." And he found out real quick going to Las Vegas that
you almost said Oakland.
I did. You heard me?
You did?
Yeah. Still, dude, years later, they're still the San Diego Chargers and the Oakland Raiders, man.
St. Louis Rams.
The St. Louis Rams when we were growing up, man. But you found out real quick how good Devontae Adams had it with Aaron Rodgers because he's pissed. Jimmy Garoppolo, man, he basically outed him in the show. He's like, "This dude's going to get me killed."
Yeah.
Because his accuracy's not good. And
I've always wondered, like, what is a veteran quarterback who comes in the middle of a game? What does he say to a star player like Devontae Adams?
Throw you the ball.
And I loved that moment of Brian Hoyer, the journeyman veteran quarterback coming in and sitting down man to man right across from him and being like, "Hey, I know we haven't worked together. I know I haven't thrown the ball to you, but I promise you, get one-on-one. I'm going to do everything in my power to get you the football." And we rag on these guys kind of like Brian Hoyer who have been around the league for so long and you don't feel like they've really accomplished anything. And God, why is he on the Raiders? Why is he still in the league? Why wouldn't you go for a younger player? This is why those moments, that's that veteran leadership. And this is the stuff that the NFL as a whole doesn't do a good job of highlighting. Like we never get to see these moments. And there's so much that the league could be doing that I don't feel like they capitalize on. Like as fans, we eat all this stuff up. It's why I love all these shows, all these behind the scenes looks, at what goes on.
It's made me a broader fan of the NFL in general because I just love how the machine works. Because I'm obsessed with not only the Vikings. Obviously, I would do everything I could. If I could work there, I would give up my dream job that I have right now. But I can't move to Minnesota because of my son, and I would never trade my football team for my son. But if I had him full time, or if I wasn't a dad, 100%, I would weasel my way into the Vikings organization. I'm that annoying and that like strong-minded. I would find a way doing something to get up there because I love this team so much. There's nothing I want more as a sports fan than to watch this team win a Super Bowl. There's nothing else. And seeing other teams, like it makes me have empathy for them because you think about the Lions. The Lions have been trash forever. And halfway through this series, Dan Campbell says, "Hey, get up. Hey, you, read the top line." And he's like, "When's the last time you won the division?" "Hey, you, second row, read the second line. This is the last time they won a playoff game. This is the last time they went to this." And he had everybody sit back down. He's like, "We've sucked for a long time. Today's when you make your mark and you make your stamp." And it's like, dude, it's giving me chills saying that now. And I'm like, I want to run through a brick wall for this dude. He's not even on my team. He's a division rival. So yeah, this show has made me such a bigger NFL fan, and it kind of leads me to another topic I want to talk about. Before I get to Twitter and JJ McCarthy, Jake asks musical taste. I will give you a 2-minute story in 30 seconds. I grew up on rock and roll. My first introduction to rock and roll was Enter Sandman, Man in the Box. I was a Godsmack fan through high school. I was obsessed with them forever. Um, Country music is where I'm from, and now that I play guitar and I can't play like James Hetfield and Kirk Hammett and all those guys, I love singer-songwriter things because I love the beauty and simplicity of that, and a lot of that comes from country, not the bullshit you hear on the radio. I hate it. It's corny. It's weird. I don't understand why people consume it. It makes my mind like die every time I have to listen to it. But when you get into the guys that can just tell you a story beautifully, I love that. But rock and roll is my first one. Alice in Chains. I got Alice in Chains tattoo here from one of their records. Alice in Chains, Foo Fighters, Metallica. That'll be my top three. Kyle West, what say you?
We have very similar musical tastes. We grew up listening to kind of the same era of music. I grew up, when I was a kid, my dad had a huge cassette tape collection of the stuff he grew up with. So like 80s hair metal bands like Rat and Poison and Motley Crue and whatever. And so when he upgraded and got a CD player, guess what? I got the old cassette player with all the old cassette tapes. And so I grew up listening to all those bands like Motley Crue and all that 80s stuff on cassette. And then you get into kind of like the early 2000s era of like new metal. I will never shy away from being like, that is when I was like, you're old enough. That's when I was in, middle school, high school. You develop your own taste. That's the stuff that I love. So I love bands like Static X and fucking Limp Bizkit, whatever. I like Limp Bizkit. I think they're a fun band.
Stop right there. That's funny you mentioned that because I look on my YouTube algorithm and right when you logged on, I'm watching Limp Bizkit live at Lollapalooza this year.
There you go,
and
man.
how goofy and weird Wes Borland is and all these weird outfits. I love that they just are weird. I love that.
Yeah,
It's a breath of fresh air. Keep going with your music stuff, but that's hilarious. I have the tab open right here. I've got Jordan Addison news and then Limp Bizkit live at Lollapalooza to listen to while I fold laundry.
Yeah, that's amazing. But yeah, that's a lot of the bands that I like. Foo Fighters, Metallica, Alice in Chains, big Alice in Chains fan too.
Jake, I'm asking you now when I put it up here. Jake, who are your top five since you brought it up? I love talking music. I'll tell you a fun story about it that I told to Sully Erna and Shannon Larkin of Godsmack because I got to meet them. It was kind of like my going away present for the military. My dad is one of those weird. Have you heard the 7 people rule, Kyle? Like everybody in the world, we're all connected somehow by 7 people or less.
Ew, yeah.
Yeah, like based on everyone you've ever met that might remember you, even if it was a brief meeting, they know somebody who knows somebody, and it could go that way till like we're all connected somehow, even 8 billion of us. So, yeah, my dad works. We live right outside of Charlotte, and there's a little town called Dallas, obviously not Texas, Dallas, North Carolina. That's where my brother was a cop. Well, the guy from Godsmack, based out of Boston, Massachusetts, buys his amplifiers from Dallas, North Carolina for some weird reason. So, of course, my dad knows some long-haired hippie rock and roll guy at his work. He owes my dad a favor. My dad drops it in. I get to meet Godsmack at 19 years old.
That's awesome.
Which is goofy because what the fuck do they have in common with a 19-year-old who's just fanboying? But they were super nice to me. And I told them that story. I said, when I first listened to rock and roll, I heard Enter Sandman and Man in the Box at school, in middle school. Every day of the week, a teacher would have access to the boombox, and one guy played it, and I was hooked. I was immediately like, I'm done for. What is this? My best friend, shout out Rusty, I love you, buddy. My longest running friend, he said, hey, we always loved pro wrestling. We would literally record ourselves on the big shoulder VHS cameras that our parents had, and we would put boom boxes underneath the laundry room window and beat the shit out of each other on the trampoline, trying to be Shawn Michaels and Triple H or whoever. So we would have entrance music, and he goes, hey, check out my entrance music. I burned a CD today. First one I ever heard, and it was Welcome to the Jungle. And that intro was just epic,
Uh-huh.
The next song on that was Whatever by Godsmack, and I was like, that one was cool. What is this? I want to like smash my teeth in. What is this song? So I told them that, and they were like, "It's so weird to think that we are your musical introduction to rock and roll because we grew up on Rush and Led Zeppelin." He goes, "You need to go listen to them." I was like, "No, no, I do like them, but you are my childhood."
Yeah.
And they were just like so grateful to that. They were like, "Well, we're glad you still like us now." And then they asked, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm going to the military." They're like, "Fucking sick." It was a cool time, but just thinking about like where I'm from now, and it all comes back because now all I listen to is grunge, like Stone Temple Pilots and Alice in Chains. It's basically all I listen to, and then Apple will do like a rotation of similar artists. So then the Foo Fighters come up, and then the Smashing Pumpkins, and then Nirvana, and then Pearl Jam, and I'm like, well, this is all great. Let's just keep it going. So hilarious. Wasn't that the highlight of your life? Up until I met a couple other famous people, but I've had a weird life where I've gotten opportunities like this for no reason that I deserve. It just happened. Um, Pretty cool though. I have never seen Linkin Park. I have seen Breaking Benjamin. Godsmack is good. Metallica and Godsmack was my first concert ever, so that was like the bar is this high. Um, I wish System of a Down and Rage Against the Machine were still together, but they were great. Gorillas were fun. I don't know too many of their things outside the hits, but they were a fun band. But yeah, that's it in a nutshell. Like I'll nerd out on music all day. If you guys really want to get in the weeds, I'm trying out a new microphone today. This thing is very expensive. I don't have a proper stand for it here, but when I go to shows now, Kyle, you'll appreciate it. Of course I know the songs and I'm listening to the performance. I'm listening to each instrument for certain
Uh-huh.
songs. I'm listening to the room and how it sounds. I'm imagining because I play music what the sound guy must be thinking. What was sound rehearsal like? Because each room is different. You know, a music theater is different from an amphitheater that's open. I nerd out on those things now that I get older. So this is all boring stuff, though. Thank you guys for asking. This is a lot of fun, but this is not Vikings football. Unfortunately, we have to talk about stuff today, and I'm going to have a mixed opinion on it.
I'm gonna have
Jordan
a pissed
Addison,
off opinion on it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not good. On Friday, Jordan Addison was arrested for suspicion of DUI. Uh, this is coming straight from NFL.com. Christian Gonzalez, you get the credit for this article. Suspicion of driving under the influence Friday near LAX airport by the California Highway Patrol at approximately 11:06 p.m. Friday. Los Angeles Communications Center was advised there was a disabled vehicle blocking lanes on I-105. When a CHP officer
Oh,
arrived to the scene, a white Rolls Royce was spotted with Addison asleep behind the wheel. Following a DUI investigation, he was arrested at 11:36 and then was released from custody at 1:36. So a lot of people were saying uh, we don't know the details because his blood alcohol level hasn't been released. We don't know what was going on. Now there is a small percentage that he could be very, very tired. That is a possibility. I don't believe that to be it. Um,
ah,
but it's hard because when you're blocking traffic, when you get caught asleep behind the wheel, if you're not in a parking lot, the optics are horrible. And we have to bring up the death of his former teammate a week ago, Kyrie Jackson. We just did a
yeah.
memorial to him getting killed by a drunk driver. If he was drinking and under the influence, this is an awful look, and it just screams poor decision making. And let's not forget, and I'm almost done, Kyle. I can't wait for to hear your opinion. But July 20th, 2023, literally a year ago, he was arrested for speeding going 140 in a 55 zone by the Minnesota State Patrol. And this is becoming a trend. And he had to release a statement last year. And I'll read you his statement. Kyle, you have the floor when I'm done with this. Yesterday morning, I made a mistake. I used poor judgment. I recognize and own that. I'm going to learn from this and not repeat the behavior. I'm truly sorry. I haven't heard anything from him on this front yet. But this is not good optics for Jordan Addison or the Vikings. And this is the last thing you need going into the season, especially losing a teammate last week.
Oh boy, there's a lot to unpack with this story in particular. So let's toss aside, even though you shouldn't, but let's toss it aside for a minute. Was he drunk? Was he high? Was he just tired and did he fall asleep? Let's toss those three things off to the side for a minute. He was blocking a lane of traffic with this. He was not off to the side. He wasn't on the shoulder. He wasn't in the ditch. He was blocking a lane of traffic with his vehicle. Presumably, speed limits 65,
Yeah.
75 in the area that he was at, he could have caused a terrible accident for himself or more than likely innocent bystanders
Yeah.
that were out on the road. That is almost exactly what happened to his teammate and two other individuals who died. What was it? A week ago from
That's
someone
2 weeks
being,
ago.
yeah, 2 weeks ago from someone being reckless like that on the highway. And then you look back at him speeding. What do you say he was doing? 140,
In
150?
a 55 mile per hour zone. And I got to jump in for this because I have a 7-year-old son, and if you're anywhere near that, it's so your vehicle is a projectile. To your point, if you're blocking traffic and someone rear ends you at 60 miles an hour, you're a 2 ton or more. Like a Rolls Royce weighs probably close to 5,000 to 6,000 pounds, probably more. I'm just going on the lighter side because I have no idea. You're a pretty much a Jersey barrier sitting there. You'll kill people that way. And
Yeah,
I know I'm being the old guy in the room, the boomer that's like, "Arr," but you have to make better decision making when you're a pro athlete like this. And I don't know what the Vikings are going to do. We don't know his blood alcohol content, but this is a stain on his, and it's become a reputation. One time I'm willing to do it and say, hey, look, it was an accident, but this is becoming a trend now. And I'm not to the point, and I'll put it out there that we should, like, half of Twitter is like, cut him, he's a piece of shit. That's not true. We don't know all the details. I, I am to the point where
he
we have to have a serious conversation with. You might get suspended, and you might need to take time to like reflect on yourself because
he needs
this is bad.
he needs a wake up call.
Yeah,
He needs a wake up call. He needs a suspension.
yeah.
And again, we don't know the full details yet. Maybe something could come out, but I have a hard time believing that there's going to be a scenario where I'm going to go, oh, he was completely justified falling asleep in his car on the middle of the highway. Like I don't know how you get to that point,
Yeah.
uh, and have me be like, yeah, I'm on his side for that one. Like that's not going to happen. There needs to be a suspension, and it needs to be more than a game or two. Even even if the league is going to say, "Hey, we're going to suspend him for 4 games because of whatever," uh, the Minnesota Vikings need to set an example and also say, "We're going to toss a couple extra games on top of this because we're not going to allow." This kind of behavior, and like he needs a wake up call. Now, there's already drama where he has removed Minnesota Vikings references from his Instagram account. So have they already talked to him? Is he pissed off? Like, what's going on here?
I don't know. I hope he's not trying to dig his way out. That's the first thing vibe I got. We had talked about it in the chat too. Like, I don't know what it was, but you have to understand the optics of things and how you represent an entire business, an entire company, and a brand. Yesterday, I took a photo of it, and it was on Twitter. People were pissed about it on Twitter. He has like a glass with orange juice in it on the weekend, and we all know that Sunday brunch is probably like mimosas. I don't know. So this is an alleged thing, but it looks like a mimosa he's drinking literally hours later. Now it could
That's
just be orange
bad. That's
juice for
bad
breakfast.
optic.
It is a bad optic, and what I would do if I was him, especially after you get arrested and released, whatever, anything I do on social media, I'm going to run it through my agent. They have to have that thing to say, hey, stay off of whatever for however long. You got to understand that. But here's where I'm going to flip it around, and here's where I'm going to say you have to have empathy and think about it. We don't know all the details, number one. So to make any kind of like, he's a piece of shit, you should cut him, you're a dumbass for saying that. We don't have all the details. Thank God above, he's not injured and no one was hurt. Thank God. That does drastically reduce the seriousness. However, it doesn't reduce the accountability that should be had, like you said, for suspension of games. Here's what I'll say, and I saw someone say this on Twitter, and I really think this hits home. And if you have kids that understand it, but you guys that are so quick to be like, cut him, he sucks, whatever, would you say the same thing about your son? If that was your child and your flesh and blood, wouldn't you want to have a little bit of grace to say, okay, I want to see if he can get some help, or I want to understand. I truly, as a person, not even as a fan of the Vikings, I just want to know, is he all right? And I want to know if there's anything going on where he could be helped, because I've been there with people in the military, people in my work now, like they're just off and you don't know why. And you wonder if they can get back to themselves because people that don't have clear judgment, they don't make good decisions. And I don't know if he was in the best frame of mind to do that. Now, if that's self-inflicted from poor decisions, we got to address that. But I want to wait for all the details to come out. But I would challenge anyone that wants to make that knee-jerk reaction because everybody on Facebook, I left the Vikings group today because everybody in there was shitting on him. And I'm like, we've had worse players literally on the Vikings. Everson Griffin came back to the team after getting arrested for schizophrenia, breaking into people's houses, breaking and entering, and he just got arrested like 2 weeks ago with coke in his pocket. Like, give the kid a break for a second. These are 21-year-old kids and 22-year-old kids that are millionaires. I'm not saying I excuse their behavior.
I can give him a little bit of a break on the speeding thing that happened a year prior. Not that I would not condoning speeding, but I get having a fast vehicle. He's probably got a sports car and being on an empty stretch of highway.
He was in a Lambo, I think they said last year.
Okay, and being like, I'm on an empty stretch of highway. I want to see what this can do. Been there, done that. Like that it's a little more understandable, although you should not do it. This one to me is a hell of a lot worse because you're falling asleep or you're passing out on the wheel. That's not acceptable.
I know some people don't agree, and that's okay. We can disagree. Like some crazier shit happened on Saturday that we're not going to bring up on the show involving a former president. You don't have to agree with stuff, right? I want everybody to at least absorb that to think because I think it'll change your the thing that we've done since social media has become so popular is we get on a train of like, oh, I agree with you. And then we just steamroll. Everything is so exaggerated these days where it's like, I agree with him and fuck that guy. And everything gets amplified. Where it's just like, hey, let's take a moment to breathe. Everybody's still human. And I want to see what happened in the details of, okay, what was going on? I want to know the deeper issue. Now, I'm a military dude. I'm a law enforcement dude all through and through. I think you should have consequences for your actions. So there may be repercussions. As a fan, I want Jordan Addison on the field every game, all the time.
I mean, think of all this. Here's the one thing I will say in his defense. Think of all the stupid stuff that like you and I did when we were that age.
Now we didn't have $30 million in our bank account.
You knew exactly where I was going. Imagine if you had like almost unlimited funds to do stupid stuff with. Shit, when speaking of car stories, I don't know, probably 19, 20, somewhere in there. My friend Jeff bought an old Crown Vic. It was a retired police car. And you know what we did? You took the Crown Vic out on the Iowa back road and we're like, let's top this baby out. And we were probably going 130, 140 down the highway in that car. So like, I mean, I get it. You do stupid shit when you're at that age. And afterwards, Jeff was like, we're lucky a deer didn't jump out because it was nighttime.
Yeah.
Of course it was nighttime when we did that. He was like, if we would have hit a deer going 140, like
you're dead.
That's it. Like you're dead.
Yeah. I like I said, I want to reiterate. If it's some negligence and poor decision making, you're past the point because you've been given this amount of money, you've been given this platform. You're a professional doing your first career job. It has consequences, It just sucks because you're amplified and you're kind of a celebrity, whether you want to be or not, because of what you do. So yeah, there might be consequences.
You have to be smart enough when you're in that position to have someone you can call an Uber, call a friend, whatever, to where you're not driving behind the wheel of that car. I mean, my big takeaway from this is do not get into a vehicle with Jordan Addison.
Well, here's the great thing to kind of share with everyone because we were all under the impression that this is what it was, but it's not. I'm going to share the screen with you, and this is kind of crazy, but here we go. So you guys can all see. A player ride service offered by the NFLPA was not available to Raiders receiver Henry Ruggs on the night of his deadly suspected DUI crash. In 2010, the NFLPA began offering the player transportation link service, and that allowed NFL and alumni to call an 800 number to be picked up 24/7 from anywhere, no questions asked. But as the NFL learned about Uber and Lyft gaining popularity, they decided to end the service in 2019.
That
Although the
is a
service ended, they said they discussed the significance of blah blah blah. I'm gonna stop sharing that and we're gonna talk about that now. The NFL, with how much money it makes, not providing that service, shame on you. That's stupid, and it's selfish. And I'm not, like I said, don't come at me saying you're condoning these kids. Well, I'm not saying that at all. It's just like the concussion thing of, well, we'll fix it now because we got caught. The NFL gives a shit about its players. They give a shit about its image. They only care about making money. The fact that they got rid of this because Uber and Lyft was a thing. I said this to Kyle before we started. Jerry Jones alone by himself could pay for this service for literally every NFL player, and he wouldn't even notice the money was gone. Wouldn't even notice it. That's 1 out of 32 billionaire owners. So the fact that the NFL said, well, Uber and Lyft is popular, we're going to get rid of it. Or,
oh, good God. What do you think Jerry Jones is worth? What do you think his net worth is?
I got it right here. Or you could offer that service and we could have both. I don't know. That's just a thought. But what, $14.2 billion? Are you shitting me right now?
Yeah.
Like, the fact that the NFL got rid of this is a bigger issue we should highlight and trash the shit out of them on social media for. And I'm, like I said, don't come at me saying you're advocating Jordan Addison driving under the influence. I'm not doing that. Think about what they do and how greedy they are. I mean, they're having to pay back all this money because they were overcharging for Sunday ticket because they just want to make a shitload of money. Use your money to take care of people. It's not like it's going to cost you an arm and a leg, and it might save lives.
I have a list right here of what every NFL owner, what their net worth is worth, the owners of all the teams. The only one that doesn't count are the Green Bay Packers within being like publicly owned or funded or however they work. So they don't count. Rob Walton, which I believe that's the Walmart family, right? That owns the Denver Broncos now. 77.4 billion. They could just fund this service themselves. $77.4 billion. The ownership for the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, they own Walmart, I believe. The Waltons.
Yeah, that's the Walmart. Walmart family. Yeah.
I understand you don't become a billionaire by giving your money away because this is a big investment. But what I'm saying is it should be within every owner's contract when you take over. Like Washington has a new owner now because their old owner was a fucking turd. It should be in the contract when you buy it. You will provide a rideshare service to all the players and any alumni from before. And that doesn't have to go for like, hey, I'm the wife of an ex-safety who was on the practice squad for 1 year. Like that shit doesn't fucking count. But hey, Adrian Peterson calls you and is like, I need a ride and I'm hammered and I don't want to make a bad decision. Yeah.
You know what I've never understood? Couldn't you call coach one of your coaches? Like, you use Adrian Peterson as an example. Like, if AP would have called whoever on the team, I'm pretty sure they would have figured a way out to come get him. Same with Jordan Addison. Like, I'm sure call the receivers coach, call someone on the team, like the organization.
Call Kenny McCardle and tell him, hey, I'm in a bind, or I'm trying to prevent being in a bind.
They're gonna take care of you.
100% they are. It's why I don't understand like a guy like our OC Wes Phillips. I don't understand how the hell he got one. Bro, you work for it's different, dude. Kyle, it's different if you're a player and you're 23 and you're like, man, I made a dumb decision because I was riding the heat of emotions and I'm a young man. This is a grown-ass man with a family who works for management.
He's fucking my age?
He's like in his 40s. And dude, you have a family and kids and you work for management and you still got how the fuck is that possible?
Speaking of bad optics, I forgot about that, but I'm glad you brought that up. It looks bad that they gave him a 3-week suspension and what was it like
during the off time
during the off season, and like we gave him 3 weeks off without pay in like March when we weren't doing anything anyway.
They gave it to him in the middle of the summer last year, and it's like they're not there anyways. You're watching film at home or you're on vacation with your family. It's a fumble by every. I'm mad again about this shit.
it's a little. I feel like a little bit of a hypocrite now, saying, "Oh, they really got to put the hammer down on Jordan Addison." When, like you said, you have a coach who's an older player, older individual who should know better, who you basically just gave a slap to the wrist to. And now we're going to say, oh, you got to throw the book at a young, how old's Addison, 21, 22-year-old,
Yeah.
athlete.
It's
I don't
tough.
know.
This is a tough conversation, but I'm going to reiterate for the seventh time on this show. If this was because he made poor decisions, there should be repercussions for your actions, and they are going to be serious compared to
Can we
last year.
like can we figure out a way to help him make better decisions? Because spoilers,
Yes,
Jordan Addison is a pretty good player.
you need him on this team. He's an asset. He's
Yeah.
a very valuable asset to the team. I want him to get this figured out, and I truly believe, based on what it is, and he's already out and about doing so. I truly believe it's probably a little over exaggerated. Like I said, I'm glad that nobody was hurt, and that does bring the severity down quite a bit from someone getting injured or killed. But he's got this is a thing now. This is a trend. This is more than once, and it's worse than last year because let's face the fact: your teammate just died by getting hit by a drunk. If there's alcohol involved in any way, this makes this so much uglier than it needs to be. But regardless, even if your teammate had died, you shouldn't drink and drive anyways because it's a stupid idea. But I digress. I'm going to get off the soapbox here. I have a topic that I want to discuss because I saw it from your favorite Viking player, and I got to say, I don't know if they just said it because he needed to get something out for a show because he's a media personality now. But Randy Moss got a fucking L from me today because he was on Kay Adams recently. Kay Adams show, shout out, I love you. She's asking him about JJ McCarthy, and he said he should start no matter what week 1. He's like, I don't care, he needs to be out there. First of all, Randy, you don't just give people a job just because. He's not in the position of the Bears where they have to start Caleb Williams. Like the Commanders have to start Jaden Daniels because they don't have another option. He's not in that boat. So let me reiterate. I'm not saying that JJ McCarthy will be these players I'm going to name. Let's just do the math and the history of the game. Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love. These are all 3 recent examples. Brett Favre. Of guys that sat and had to wait, and they had great success. When you rush a quarterback out too fast, you get Bryce Young. Do I think Bryce Young's going to have a better year this year? Sure. But this is J.J. McCarthy we're talking about, who's lost, 2 games in his high school and college career? And what if he goes out week 1 against the Giants' defensive line, who is a top 10 defensive line in the league? They just added Brian Burns, by the way. Dexter Lawrence and Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau. We don't have the greatest interior. So you want to rush him out there. What if he gets sacked 6 times and throws 3 picks in his first NFL game? You think that does him any good, Randy? This is a stupid take. And one of my very, very good friends, and I love him to death, he's like, I don't see how he shouldn't be starting. You don't just give a rookie quarterback a starting job. Number one, and I've said this 17 times, we're not winning the Super Bowl this year. This is not a Super Bowl roster. This is not a Super Bowl team. This is a competitive team. We're an annoying team is what we are. We'll be in the game with you when we shouldn't be. And then we'll probably sneak out a couple like last year, like against the 49ers, where it's like, holy shit, we beat the fuck out of them most of the game. That's crazy, right? This is not a Super Bowl team. There is zero reason to rush a quarterback out just because, oh, well, he's the guy. What it is, and I know it is, and this is my friend that I'm talking about now. I'm going to leave his name out of it. But this is most people just don't like Sam Darnold, and they just find any reason to hop on an emotional reason to say, well, he should start, JJ should. Bullshit. You can set him for 1 year. And I guarantee you, I will put my paycheck down right now. JJ McCarthy will start this year at some point, and that's okay. But to say that he should automatically be the week 1 starter, unless he is blowing the top off of training camp here in a couple weeks, no, he should not. Sit him down. Let him learn the playbook because, and I'm done after this. What have we always heard, Kyle, from any interview from any player after they get in the league, like after 1 or 2 years? They have the Sunday night preview.
The game slows down. Is that where you're going?
The game slows down. Oh, my God, it was so fast my rookie year. Now I feel like the game is slowing down. Let him sit. He doesn't need to or have to start. Why do you want to? If this was if we were the Packers a couple years ago, and Aaron Rodgers was being dramatic, and we were like, get him out of here. You have Jordan Love. Yes, 100% my yes,
I want
100%.
to. I'm going to talk about that in just a second here, Jake.
But imagine it was the Aaron Rodgers situation, but just we didn't have somebody waiting in the wings who had been sitting on the bench. Let's say Aaron Rodgers was the Vikings quarterback, and there had been some drama like Favre had in Green Bay, and then we drafted JJ McCarthy, and he's like, "I'm out of here. I don't want to do this anymore." Okay, well, I'm assuming if we had Aaron Rodgers and Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, all these guys, we probably would have been a playoff team because he's very good, assuming he was healthy, right? We don't have that here. That's not this team. You are not in the window in the bubble of like, oh shit, I hope this rookie can come in and fill the shoes of this guy because if he's anywhere near him, this team's going to carry him, and then you'll have a Jordan Love situation. That's not this team. I think they could be good, but I don't think it's this year. So that's kind of why my reasoning is let him chill for a year. I know that's not what you want to hear as a Viking fan. Like we're probably going to go 7-10 again. That okay. I've seen worse. Like I've seen 3-13, and where we got Christian Ponder as well.
Yeah.
I don't think we're
So
that bad.
there's a
So
lot to unpack here too that I agree with. I think for one thing, like you said, if there was ever a year to just let a player sit and learn, it's going to be this year. There's no expectations anyway. Sam Darnold, he's gonna have a pretty good year this year. I bet. Like, will there be a game where he throws 4 interceptions and a pick six, and you're going to be pissed off with him? Yeah, but by and large, I think he'll probably play pretty well for the Vikings. He will play himself into some other team giving him a 2 to a 3 year contract out there on the open market. And I think that what's the there's no expectations anyway for this team. So worst case scenario for us is what? We get a high draft pick next year. I'm okay with that because we don't have a lot of draft picks. We gave up a lot of draft capital. Uh, I'll take a top 10 pick next year because I think this interior offensive line going to be pretty crummy. I really don't like either guard or center position. I'm really not sold on uh, any of those three in the middle of the line. So if we're looking at next year, you give me a top 10 pick and I can use that on a center or I can use that on a tackle, left or right tackle. I'm all for doing that. And letting JJ McCarthy sit for a minute. And someone brought it up. Jake brought it up here in the chat. You know, how many quarterbacks have been ruined by throwing them on the field before they were ready? Now, I'm not going to defend Christian Ponder, but I'm going to defend Christian Ponder a little bit. He was thrown before he was ready on an absolutely awful Vikings team outside of Adrian Peterson that had no real shot, no real way to set him up to succeed. And had he had the opportunity to sit for maybe a year, would things have been different? Well, they sure as shit couldn't have got any worse, but he might have had a little bit more success than what he ultimately got with the Vikings. Now, JJ, by all accounts, he's a smarter quarterback. He's more accurate. He's got better arm strength. Like he is head and shoulders above where Christian Ponder was
agreed.
talent wise. So could you throw McCarthy on the field earlier and have him succeed? You could, but I don't want to do it. We don't need to. So why are we?
There's so many variables too. He came from basically an NFL team on the field in Michigan, playing against with that level of talent up until the playoffs. He was playing like Division II style teams compared to the talent they had. There's games where he only had to throw the ball 8 times. You have Justin Jefferson on your team. You are never going to throw the ball 8 times. You're going to throw the ball 28 times, and I need you to be accurate with 25 of those.
You're going to throw the ball 8 times to Justin Jefferson in a half.
Correct. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that listening to all the variables, and I'm not saying this is a long-term plan. I'm not saying that I'm going to tattoo Sam Darnold across my shoulders. I want it to be what it is. Charlotte said it in the chat earlier. Vikings fans are super impatient, and it's really odd. I'm going based on, and I try to get so many people on board to think like this. I'm going with math and history. What does the math tell you is going to happen, and what does our history say as a franchise? It says, be patient, don't rush the rookie out there. We had Teddy Bridgewater his rookie year, and thank God he didn't look like complete dog shit because Matt Castle got hurt. But a few games in, he had to go in. I can't imagine the pressure that came to Justin Herbert his rookie year when you're getting ready for week one to watch the game and they say, hey, we accidentally stabbed the quarterback. You got to play today. Like, poor Tyrod Taylor. Poor lucky Tyrod Taylor because he's doing his NFL tour like Ryan Fitzmagic, and he's going to like his 12th team now, but he's making backup quarterback money, which is great. But he's had such bad luck. But I'm thinking like, okay, if Sam goes down, by all means, throw him in there. But if KOC says he's quarterback 3 and I'm putting in Mullins, I don't want to hear the fan base lose their mind, which I know they will. Let him be what he is for now. And we've already heard the plan. You remember, Kyle. Kevin O'Connell was like, I have a checklist and I have a benchmarks I want him to meet. When he gets there, I'll feel more comfortable. Well, guess what, guys? He's going to have his chance coming up starting next week. On Monday, the Vikings start training camp. The rookies come in this week. It's here. You get your chance to hear how he's doing. I'm sure he's going to start off against the threes, and we'll see how he's processing. Let the kid be what he is. He is not ready yet.
We'll know come preseason. We're going to see a healthy dose of J.J. McCarthy come preseason time. At least I think so anyway. We'll know where he's at. We'll know how he looks because he'll be out there probably third and fourth quarter going against third and fourth string talent, guys who are undrafted, potentially not even going to make the squad. He should look pretty good. He should look pretty good against them. If he doesn't, he's not ready. And if he doesn't look good, folks, it's not the end of the world. It takes a minute to learn the quarterback position.
The expectations are always amplified, and I'm like, no. We think this kid's going to run in the league and he's going to have a CJ Stroud year. That's the outlier, man. And shout out to him and the Texans and everything that went well for them. I'm excited to see how Diggs and Daniil Hunter look down there. They're going to be a fun team to watch. But the likelihood of that happening, dude, you're more likely to have a Geno Smith, Mark Sanchez rookie year than you are to have – you're likely to have a Sam Darnold rookie year than you are to have a CJ Stroud year. Like, not everybody comes out looking like Andrew Luck or Patrick Mahomes the first year. Like, it's not how this works. That's why I err on the side of caution, and that's why I say when you want to be honest and have that conversation about the Vikings, yeah, I want to watch them win games. That game a year removed, the season a year removed from last year, winning 13 games, we had no business winning that many games. Of course I want to watch that. But I'm a realistic Vikings fan because I've seen this tape 100 times. I know what this team probably is, and I know what this division probably is. We're going to be fighting for last place until they prove otherwise. So I don't need to ruin the potential national championship quarterback we just drafted because you guys want to throw him out there so he gets reps. Fuck that. Let him wait. It's okay. I'm okay with it, man. I'm okay with buying time. And guess what? Kevin O'Connell's job is not on the line. It's not. Last year, a nuclear weapon went off and blew up the team. Like, in Green Bay, Kirk pulls his Achilles, like, the season's done. And you're like, well, I guess I couldn't believe, too, man, watching receiver, how far into the season the Vikings were second in the NFC North.
Yeah.
Until, like, the second – we're going into, like, tier 3, tier 4 of the season. You're like, damn, they were still in it. They were, like, 2 games behind Detroit. And I'm like, with who? With Josh Dobbs at quarterback?
Yeah, with no Kirk Cousins and no Justin Jefferson. How?
So I'm like, okay, what are the expectations this year? I want to see Aaron Jones look good. I want to see the line be competent. I want to see Sam Darnold have time to not get murdered and to throw the ball to Jefferson and see what he does with some weapons. I think the time and the year in San Francisco really helped. A lot of guys have said that in the media and in the know of the NFL, right? When J.J. McCarthy outperforms Sam Darnold, or God forbid Sam Darnold gets injured, if you want to throw him in there, then I'm all for it. But for Randy Moss, of all people, to say, well, he should just start week 1, throw him out there. No.
And I mean,
no.
I'm assuming his thought process is, hey, this is your future of the franchise. Why wait? You know, why hold off? Get him out there, get the reps going now, and, you know, sink or swim. Let's see what he got. Let's see if he can lead it. And that's a very old school mentality and way of thinking. And that's the era of football of NFL that he came up in. It's kind of not really how you do it anymore, though. But I mean, I understand a bit where he was coming from.
Sure. Well, it's different too. It's not like wide receiver. Like Justin Jefferson, we heard in camp like 3 or 4 snaps in, like, oh, he's for real. It's different. Receiver and every position is different. Quarterback is okay, and you guys gotta absorb the totality of what I'm saying. Anyone that listens to this, I'm talking about one season. I am not telling you that he should have the Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love treatment of, well, let's sit him for 3 years. Let's make sure he's good. Let's bring him nachos when he's hungry and make sure he's got hand warmers in the cold months. Like, no, dude,
What
I'm not here to
happens?
service this guy. Let him chill for one season. And then if this a year from now in 2025, July 15th next year, if everything goes to plan, and let's say the Vikings squeak out 9-8 and go to the playoffs, or 10-7, they get a wild card, and Sam Darnold like has a revived year, you bet your ass a year from now, I'm like, throw JJ McCarthy's ass out there
What?
now. Let's see what he
Here's the
is.
thing, dude. What happens if the unlikeliest of scenarios happens here? What if Sam Darnold is car- absolute career year in Minnesota?
Geno
This is
Smith
like
in Seattle, Baker
this
Mayfield in
is
Tampa.
this is like a 14, 15 win team somehow. Like he's like we're talking like 20 plus touchdowns, very few interceptions. Like you're like, holy shit, like where did this come from? Do you keep him for 2, 3 years and sit JJ McCarthy then? Or are you really going to be willing to let that go if that happens and start McCarthy, knowing that there's the possibility that he, even after sitting a year, could have rookie growing pains, like that you could be taking a step back from a really good team?
I 100% believe no matter the outcome, outside of them winning a Super Bowl or going to a Super Bowl, I think Sam Darnold is a 1 year mercenary. It's a 1 year contract. I think they're going to go forward with the investment next year, which is yet another angle and reason and variable of why I say to, yeah, no, seriously, same. But that's another variable and reason and context of what I'm saying is I believe 100% Sam Darnold is a 1 year rental mercenary. And if it goes anywhere near what it should, where he wins double digit games at any sort and he throws 25 or more touchdowns, and I think that's asking a bit much compared to what we've seen of him.
I
But
mean, it's not going to happen.
it's
We're
more
spit
likely
we're
not going to happen,
we're
right?
spitballing fantasy land here, but it is the off season.
But it's 1 year. I'm not, like I said, think about what I'm saying to everyone listening. I'm not saying give him a 3 year waiting period. One season to wait to protect your rookie. I think that's fair. And dude, don't take it from me. Take it from a guy who had great success and has already played in the Super Bowl recently. Jared Goff said it to Colin Cowherd or whomever and asked, hey, how long do you think you should give quarterbacks before you really judge him and say he's a bust? And he said, you need to give him 3 years.
Yeah.
Dude, Justin Fields didn't even get that, and he's already on a different team. I'm not saying that JJ McCarthy and Justin Fields are the same because I think JJ McCarthy's way better a passer than Justin Fields. But I'm saying the time is limited. So if you rush a dude out there on a team where he's not ready, even if it was I think that San Francisco 49ers and the Chiefs are the outliers.
Okay.
Maybe
Here,
the Eagles.
here's a scenario. I'm going to make you pick an either or scenario here to
Oh,
end the show out
no.
with.
Here we go.
We are a double digit win team. Sam Darnold, career year. We're going to the wild card. We're one and done in the wild card. That's scenario A. Scenario B, we suck. We win like 5 games. Sam Darnold, flashes here and there, but overall is kind of what you expected from him. We're going to move on, JJ McCarthy, and we got a top 10 draft pick next year. What season do you want to have?
You're not gonna like my answer. I don't care. I don't care which one. I don't care if it's either one because a playoff loss yet again means we haven't won a playoff game in 5 years. That's gonna piss me off. But getting to the playoffs means I know here. I'll give you here. I'll try to come back with something better. If we go option one where Sam Darnold we win 10 plus games with him and we go to the playoffs, but we lose, that means that Kevin O'Connell's system is going to be awesome with JJ McCarthy. I 100% would invest
Yeah.
in that.
Oh,
So that's why I would.
That's a very positive take. I like that.
Yes, that means this works, and I would love, dorky football fan in me would love that for Sam Darnold, because some poor team is going to take a fucking chance on it and be like, we'll take a run. Like the Giants, they would be like, fuck yeah, come on up here, dude. We'll let you do it. We have this, whatever.
Here's a $40 billion contract.
But what I think is more likely is option 2, where he's probably somewhere in the middle between 18 and 21 as far as quarterback rankings. He's probably 5 or 6 touchdowns above interceptions. We're probably about 500 or worse. And it is what it is, because, and you know what it'll come back down to? It'll be like the year before the 2022 season when we lost a bunch of games by like 7 points or less. That's probably what this season is going to be. And it's going to break your heart. But number one, and this matters. That's a good question by you, dude. I got to brag on you. That's a good question, because you have to take into account the variables for next year. We don't have a lot of assets in the draft next year. So if it got us a top 10 pick, I'm taking that one selfishly, because, again, how many times have I said this, Kyle? We are not winning the Super Bowl this year. It's not fucking happening. It's guaranteed not happening. There's a 0% chance that we win the Super Bowl. But I'm a pessimist like that. I'm thinking, well, damn, that could be the edge rusher we're looking for. That could be the corner, the center, the guard we're looking. This is not a quarterback year coming up for us. So I'm like, I don't give a shit. Pick whoever you need that's going to help, because we got cap space to go get pieces. That's the positive for next year. But if scenario 1 happened, I'm thinking about it from management. Like, I'm removing my fandom. I'm like, damn, that thing worked. We have a competent quarterback that we didn't have to trade midseason for. I feel bad for Sam Darnold. I'm like, damn, you were just on some really dog shit teams before, I guess. Like,
yeah.
Because it can work here. If he flashes to what his potential and his hype was. This is the number 3 overall pick from 4 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever. But I think that's a very slim chance. But I think it's possible.
I love the spin that you put on it there at the start, where you're like, hey, if you can eke out double-digit win and be a wild card team, and even if you're one and done, you're looking at that going, the greatest takeaway from that scenario is Kevin O'Connell is proving that his system works. Him and his staff can coach. They can coach with the talent they've got. They can succeed and they can win. And that tells you that you're going to win with JJ McCarthy as well. So I love that. I love that takeaway. That is awesome. I'm telling you, as a Vikings fan, I got my Vikings fandom hat on right now. So I'm no longer management. I am a fan. Let me tell you what my heart cannot stand. And that is another year with a 1-year replacement quarterback where we go one and done and lose in the fucking wild card. Yep. I don't want to do it. I don't want to get the false hope and get knocked out, blown away, beat up by the Eagles in the playoffs again. Dude,
can I ask you something, Kyle, for this?
Hold on real quick. I would almost rather have the shit season and be like, hey, we're going to get us a big-time center. We're going to get Sauce Gardner at corner. We're going to add a big-time piece.
Defensive tackle.
And a defensive tackle to next year's draft. Like, I almost want to say that, but part of me also knows, like you said, that we really need to win now and prove that we can win with who we have on the field and all that good positive stuff that you said earlier.
So I got to ask this, and this goes for the chat too. Chat, let us know. But doesn't the playoffs, now that you have a 7th team, doesn't it kind of skew you a little bit? Because 1 and 2 used to have the bye, and then the rest of the teams would have a shorter weekend, but it was a regular wild card weekend. When I watch 7 seeds versus 2 seeds now, it's kind of like,
necessarily care.
Why are you there? Like last year, I believe it was Kansas City hosting Miami, and it's like, Miami sucks, dude. They're not going to win this game. And then if we make it in as a 7 seed, we're going to play the number 2 team at their house, probably going to Philly, Dallas, or San Francisco to get our shit pushed in. And I'm like,
I don't want to do it. Dude,
I don't want to watch.
The next time I play the Eagles, I don't want to have a fucking one and done team that I don't believe in. I want to have a Vikings team that's going to go in there and stomp the shit out of them, right?
Or here's the thing: let's say you get a favorable matchup. Let's say you're the 4 seed, you're the last of the division winners, or you can flip it around. You're the 5 seed, you're the highest of the wild cards. You're going to the 4, or you're a 4 hosting a 5. You have as equally a matchup as you can, and they end up winning like a fun game. Probably they shouldn't win, kind of like the Saints game. Their Vikings win in that 2019 Saints game, 2018, whatever it was, and they had no business winning that game, and they did. They won. And then they went to San Francisco the next week, and I was like, oh, they're not going to win this game. That sucks. If you have one of those where you're like, oh my God, we won a game. I have memories in my phone when I still had Snapchat where I took a picture of me going like, right after that Kyle Rudolph touchdown, we shouldn't have won that game. This is awesome. And then about 10 minutes later, when I came off my high and I was talking to my friends about the game, I was like, oh shit, we got to go to San Francisco next week. Damn it. Like, season's over next week, boys. But if you win a game like that, and then you lose in the divisional round, I'm okay. Okay, last season the Bucks beat the Eagles and sent them packing, and they had a thrilling game with the Lions. Dude, that's a respectable season.
Yeah,
that is a respectable season. Like the Packers, they just beat the shit out of the Cowboys, and then you come like one Brett Favre pass away from Jordan Love from beating the Niners. Dude, I can hang my hat with the way this team is right now and be like, you overachieved, bro. Good for you. I'm okay with it. You did
somehow this team has a way though of like eking their way into the wild card when they shouldn't, and then getting absolutely embarrassed. Where you're like, I'm taking my jersey off, and I'm no longer a Vikings fan for the rest of the weekend.
Well, because here's the thing with that. I'm okay with you squeaking in as a wild card and having no business, and then the majority decision being there. We had just beaten the Giants 2 weeks prior, and then you have another home game against the same team you just beat, and Daniel Jones looks like white Michael Vick out there. What are you doing? That I can't stand. I cannot stand those games when you beat yourself.
We got him in the long run. Like, we won the long game on that one because they believed in giving Daniel Jones a long-term contract extension and letting Saquon Barkley go into free agency.
And we play them week 1 this year too in New York. It's going to be great. New Jersey.
Did you catch the phone call of him of their GM on Hard Knocks? Basically telling Saquon Barkley if they're going to move on from him.
That's tough.
It's insane, dude. And for them to be like, but we need your word that we're going to
circle back to us.
Yeah, circle. We need your word. I love the way this is the corporate bullshit side of the NFL of just any job in general that I hate, where they are actively trying to fuck you over as an employee. And then they tried to hold this thing over Saquon Barkley where they were like, you should really take less money to play for us because you'll eventually go in the Ring of Honor and you'll be a Giant forever. Like, don't pull. That's the same bullshit of being like, you worked real hard at your job, Kyle Smith. We're going to give you a pizza party at the end of the year.
I was going to say. Yes. Hey, man, I know you wanted a raise. I know you wanted vacation time. I know you wanted an award to go to this. Here's the free pizza.
Like, I'm not I am in no way discrediting the importance of going into a team's Ring of Honor. That's really fucking cool, and that's a really big achievement. You don't hold that over a player's head in a contract negotiation.
I'm discrediting a franchise who has a GM who's like saying, "Hey, I'd rather pay Daniel Jones than Saquon Barkley." I would look at him. I would straight up like, and you'd have to call your buddy and tell him like, "Hey, man, I have to look out for me. I'm sorry if this came off as disrespectful." Like, I'm sure he likes Daniel Jones. I'm sure they're friends because players are tight no matter what. But I would say that on the phone of like, you chose to pay Daniel Jones instead of paying me, and you want me to think that the Giants' Ring of Honor is something that I care about. Like, Daniel will make more money sitting on the bench this year than I might make in my whole career, and you want me to care about that?
Yeah,
cool, bro. See you weeks 4 and 12 when we play each other, and I'm on a different team. Whatever. Like,
by the way, I'm gonna sign with the Eagles as a fuck you now. Like,
that's another reason I hate Philadelphia so much. They get all of the breaks. To have such a city filled with meth head, redneck, trailer trash. God, did the football gods look down upon them? somehow, some way. Howie Roseman deserves his name on the street out there as well. The
Yeah.
longer that he stays there, and you get players like the D tackle from Georgia that went ninth to them last year, and you're like, how does this happen? How? And then they just
You know
take
what,
AJ
dude?
Brown from the Titans, and they take Saquon Barkley. They're
That's a
building a
good.
Pro Bowl team in Philadelphia. It's
That's a
annoying.
good. Hey, that's a good Vikings take to end on real quick here because we're going a little over an hour. But
Yeah.
you talking about how players that eventually you're going to look back and go, how in the hell did the football gods let them end up where they ended up? I'm telling you, Dallas Turner to the Minnesota Vikings as late as he went in the draft
Let's
is going to
go.
be one of those. Holy shit! How did all of these teams pass up on him in the draft? Because there is no way that everyone before him is going to be an all-pro 10-year player in the league. Like there's going to be some busts and some players that don't work out. I really think that we got a steal in the draft based on where he was projected to go and where we got him at.
All the drama we talked about today, I completely forgot we got him on the team, and I'm so pumped. I love this sneaky little like I had a Fender Jazz Master, right, and it's the same guitar Chris Stapleton plays. Obviously, the one from 1965. It's like owning a '65 Chevelle. Okay, well, I have the equivalent. Like I have a 2014 Mustang now. Those are not the same cars. They do
Yeah.
the same thing, but the value is different, right? I love the fact that they got the
Don't get
player
in either of
grade.
them with Jordan Addison. Don't let him be your designated driver.
Oh no, I didn't say that, and I'm not laughing at that because that's terrible. Shame on you, Kyle West.
Yeah, I don't care.
So, but my point, I was talking about the pass rushers is we have the player grade economy friendly version of that this year. We have very highly rated, like Andrew Van Ginkel. I'm pumped for him. He was top 10 in one of the lists of like pressures last year, which is great. Jonathan Grenard, amazing player, great swap for the Texans. He had a double-digit sack season last year. Really excited for Blake Cashman, and then you add Dallas Turner in there, dude.
Yeah.
Let's go. And we're talking about DNs and technically linebackers, inside or out. We're not even mentioning the fact that we have Ivan Pace on the team, who was the steal of the draft last year because he didn't even. It was undrafted free agent, the highest rated one. Dude, I love these moves that the team made. Sneaky good. Thank you for bringing that up. That made me a lot happier than what it was going into the show. But we're running late, and I'm gonna
We
do
should be excited for
plugs.
Brian Flores having the opportunity to bring in the players that he wants because you've seen him come in with like kind of a shit defense, kind of some shit players out there on defense, and work magic with them and do pretty darn good things with not a lot of talent. And giving him the opportunity to build this baby out, like that's exciting. Selfishly, I want him to stick around in Minnesota for a long time.
I want him to stay another year after this, just because of the system that's ran. Like I said, him re-signing with us. That was such a good.
He's
I'm
got
sure
to
Kevin
stay.
O'Connell begged him to stay.
If I'm Kevin O'Connell, I'm begging him to stick around long term, at
Yeah.
least 4 more seasons in Minnesota.
And that's the thing with him.
He's
It's entirely possible because I don't know with his drama with Miami. I don't know when he's going to get a head coaching offer again.
yeah.
So if he's loved here and the coaches respect him and the players love him, he might have a stint here where he's
To
the
wrap
D
this up,
coordinator.
I mean, to wrap this up, you at least need him another year because I'm looking at this is what 24, 25. 2025 is the year that the Minnesota Vikings have a lot of cap space to work with, where they can go out and we can add in some big time free agents. We're going to have another high draft pick, or maybe we add a big center to come in. This is going to be year one of JJ McCarthy. Like next year, they're really poised to make a push as a team. And I want Brian Flores as our defensive coordinator to continue to have that excellent nucleus and that excellent defense out there on the field. I don't want to risk taking a step back in a year that we really should be making a solid push towards the playoffs, towards the Super Bowl run in 2025.
I'm trying to see too 2025 opponents. Home opponents. Good God, what a gauntlet. the fucking Bengals, the Eagles, the Ravens, somebody from the NFC South. We're going to Dallas, to Pittsburgh, to Cleveland. God, that sucks. So you got the AFC North and then one of the AFC West teams. Wow, that's next year. Oh, they have it all the way up to 2027. Oh, that's dope.
Oh, cool. That's cool. Where are you finding that at?
On the website, the schedule, Vikings.com/schedule/future-opponents.
Who do we play in 2027?
2027. Here's your home opponents. Obviously, the division, the Broncos and the Raiders, the Rams and the Seahawks, and then someone from the NFC East.
I like the Vikings' chances in 2027, folks. Get your Vegas books out.
Away opponents: Cardinals, Chiefs, Chargers, 49ers, AFC North, and NFC South. Damn it. Oh, they rotate every year too. So this year they'll have more home games than away since there's an odd number. And in 2026, they'll have yet again one more home game rather than away. And they rotate every year. That's cool.
Yeah, nice. I had no idea you could go that far forward.
Yeah, I know they rotate divisions, and then every 4 years you'll play that same division again, and the teams you played at home, you play away, and vice versa. So that's pretty cool. That'll make you feel old. Here's a weird thing, and I swear we're done after this. Think about a key player on a team that's not the Vikings. For instance, I think of the 2018 year when Kirk Cousins came in. That was Josh Allen's first year in Buffalo, and he had that game where they ran all over us and made us look like shit. We were like 17-point favorites, and we get lost by like double digits. It's already came back around where we played in Buffalo 2 years ago. So in 2026, future home opponent, Buffalo Bills again. Josh Allen will have already been in the league 8 years at that point, and he's going to come back to Minnesota. But you don't do that tour of playing the same team every 8 years when you play in the same location. So that's kind of crazy.
How have I never realized this before?
Right? This is that dorky football stuff that I can't get out of my brain. I think
kind of an idiot.
Stuff like this.
Yeah.
Here, I'll send it to you in the private chat. Let's do some plugs and let's get us out of here. First off, Adam Carlson couldn't join us today. There was some bad weather where he was at, so not sure if he would have been able to be heard, seeing all that stuff.
I should check mine too while we're talking.
So the Vikings, couple websites you can check out as far as articles and stuff, but we always advocate for the Viking Age. Our own Adam Carlson writes there. You can go to thevikingedge.com. You can find an article that he's written. Click on it, scroll. The format is much more quick and easy to read now. And then when you're done scrolling up and down and reading and he gets his view, go click on his icon and his name. That'll be in bold, underlined, that hyperlink. Go read some articles from Adam Carlson over on the Viking Age and boost his paycheck, because it is a numbers game for him and it is an eyeballs game. And then when I transition to that, after going to the Viking Age, I commend you to subscribe to him and say, hey, I'm going to follow your Twitch, your TikTok, your Twitter, your Instagram, whatever social media you have. Our buddy Adam Carlson is there at MNVikingZombie. Like I said, he's out this week because of inclement weather. But if you want to get more of a fix and you're just a fan of me or him, we also do horror movie reviews. And we've done quite a few on his channel on YouTube at MNVikingZombie. So shout out to Adam, and hope to see you next week, buddy. Hope the weather's not too bad. Kyle West, thanks, man. Thank you, Jonathan. You're the best, dude. You and Charlotte make the show go around. We really appreciate you. Shout out to Jake for joining us for the show, too. Whoever else jumped in and just watched and you didn't comment, we love you, too. Thank you so much for helping the week when we always say there's nothing to talk about or there's a bad subject. Here we are, 100, what is it, an hour and 20 minutes in?
Yeah,
we
hour and a half.
We always do this.
You can follow me on Blue Sky at Vaguely Square. I post some of my photography, talk a little bit about movies, that kind of stuff, a little bit of Vikings football. I also have an Instagram page, Kyle West Photos. Give me a follow. That is strictly for my photography work or me to troll soccer fans on the ESPN page. I like to do that occasionally as well, too. They're about as fragile as Dallas Cowboy fans in general. You pick on soccer fans about how we don't give a shit about this sport here in the States, and they'll go nuclear on the keyboard about how it's the most popular sport worldwide, blah, 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 blah. and then you can just reply back and be like, "Yeah, I don't care,"
Yeah.
and like and they'll still argue with you, and you'll be like, "No, I really don't care about your sport."
It's so
It's
funny.
fantastic. I love it. That's how I spend my free time.
I'm here for Kyle West the troll. It's so
Yeah.
much fun. It's so funny to listen to. You guys can follow me at Instagram, TikTok, or Twitter at NCDogDude. I don't post a lot of interesting stuff, but I'll be your friend, and I'll tell you what, it's consistent on those things. I bitch at people on Twitter. I post the things I'm interested in on Instagram, and I will not reply to your DM on TikTok. So that's about it for me. If you like the show today, please like and subscribe. We can't say thank you enough to our regulars. Go to our YouTube page, like it, like the episode, subscribe to the page if you haven't. When you subscribe there, if you hit that little notification bell up top, every time we're going to go live, it'll let you know so you can join in. And I really do encourage that, because if you know we're going to go live, most days outside of today, we kind of made a quick decision, but most days I'll do it hours in advance, so you'll know, hey, maybe I'll be able to catch it, maybe I won't. But regardless, if you listen to this on any of our platforms, we just thank you. We're just out here talking nonsense. Remember, these are just opinions from a couple of dudes sitting in lazy boy chairs that don't know shit about real football, so don't take it serious.
Here's the comment of the night.
You know what, Charlotte? How dare you leave the show? You're supposed to be a regular, and you left
Yeah.
in the middle, and you left poor Jonathan here to take up all the slack. Not so that also means, Jonathan, I'm doing this to get you guys in a fight you don't need. This also means taking a shower, you weren't watching the kids either. So he's had to forcefully listen to us, poor guy, and take care of the kids. You making him cook dinner too? Really? Shame on you, Charlotte. We love you. We're just kidding. We love to give her grief. Everybody give her grief. As Adam Carlson would say if he was here, thank you to everyone that joined in. Kyle, great show. Glad to have you again. Let's do it again. What do you say? Same time next week?
Yeah.
I'll be out soon. I'm going overseas for a vacation and a wedding. So you'll get one more week of me, and then I'm going to be out for a few weeks while you guys cover training camp. But until then, please enjoy your time. Be safe, especially in light of today's episode. And we will be back next week to talk some training camp stuff. So in the meantime, stay classy, Minnesota.